It's the Herbert Dennard, Herbert Dennard, the Herbert Dennard Show.
Welcome, Dr. Henry Clay Ficklin. Welcome to the new Herbert Dennard Show. It's going to be a video podcast. Welcome, 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 my friend.
I'm so glad to be here and glad that you've gone ahead and gotten this part show because it is much needed, because information is a little lacking, and especially information about truth and the kinds of facts that people need to make decisions on.
Dr. Ficklin, you've been a pastor, city council person, special assistant to the mayor, board of education elected. You're over the Wimberly Institute. But I want to talk to you today about being a pastor. How long have you been pastoring?
I've been pastoring since 1978, which would come out to be 47 years.
47 years as pastor of the Mount Vernon Baptist Church.
Yes.
In the ministry, how did you get in the ministry? Did you get a feeling from God, or you just went to school? I know you went to school. Tell us about that experience.
I think that most ministers get what is called in colloquial language a calling from God. And that is an overpowering kind of urge to do the work of God that you have no control of. And sometimes, even though you try to run away from it or deny that it is happening, it still is prevalent in you. And there is a peaceful feeling that comes about once you decide that I'm going to accept this calling that's within me, that I continue to feel is constantly on my heart and on my mind. And once you accept it and begin to do the work, then certainly there's some peace that you can have in your soul. But then, of course, at the same time, you're constantly challenged by, can I do something better, or can I do something more? Because there is this urge within you to do the work for the Lord.
Tell me this. So then you joined Mount Vernon Baptist Church, and then when the pastor left, they elected you pastor?
No, I never joined Mount Vernon Baptist Church. I'm a member of St. Matthew's Baptist Church on Sherland Drive. I've been there since I was 8 years old. And when I started preaching and accepted the call of the Lord when I was away in college at first of all, at Southwestern Christian College in Terrell, Texas. And I went on to Abilene Christian College, and I finished there. And I came back, and of course, I preached at St. Matthew's, and Reverend Taylor was at one of the situations that I preached in, and he asked me to come over and be his assistant. And of course, I came over. This was in the early 70s. And I began to assist him at Mount Vernon Baptist Church. And of course, after a time when he was no longer there, they considered calling me, because some people didn't think that a young man like myself should be their pastor. But there was enough people in the church who wanted to give me an opportunity. And I think that's a part of what the Lord means when he tells the church to pray. And when you pray, then God will deliver to your heart who you should vote for. And of course, I was elected to be the pastor of Mount Vernon, and I've been there ever since.
You know, I joined New Pleasant Grove under Etzel Davis, and I was there for a while, and Reverend Terry came and he left. Then we got Reverend Gamage. And for some reason, him and I didn't get along too good. Do you have many members like that in your church?
I think that every pastor has someone in their church, or some people in their church, that prefer someone else, going to be a person who's going to make sure that the pastor is doing certain things and make the pastor feel like they're not, too happy with their service. But I think that's a part of your call, is that not everybody's going to like you or be accepting of you. And of course, that makes you better.
Yeah, because in my situation, I got uh, so mad with the pastor, I left.
There are some people who leave. I don't know whether they left because they were mad with me. Maybe they were mad with the way I did things. But I have people who've left. I have people who left and go to another church, and they become big members at that church. And I'm glad for them. I say if they couldn't tithe and lead over here, maybe they're doing it somewhere else. And I think all that is good because when you read in the Bible where certain kinds of disagreements broke out, it caused the church to spread. And I just believe that whomever it is that want to leave and go somewhere else, I've never tried to stand in their way. I let them go because I feel that God is in charge, and God always got somebody else that he can put in place to do some of the things that need to be done at the church.
Well, in my situation, I left and went to the church where my wife was, and kind of enjoyed it there, but I really didn't like it a lot. But I was there anyway. And then when my wife passed, Rosalind Jordan asked me to come on back to New Pleasant Grove and visit at least. She told me they had good breakfast in the morning, and a whole lot of other things. And I came back to New Pleasant Grove. I didn't join. I was going steady for about a year. And the pastor called me over to his table and said, "Brother Dennard, come over here and break bread with your pastor." And I went over there and broke bread with him, and he told me he had me up for deacon. I said, "I'm not a member of New Pleasant Grove." He said, "I didn't count that just when you left. I never even wrote it down. I didn't count it at all." So I joined back. But the second time around, I found myself liking him more. His church joined, New Pleasant Grove joined the NAACP as a church. It cost us $500, I think. He fed the hungry, and he clothed, had food banks, and the breakfast they had in the morning for anybody could come. And so when that started, I joined back, and the second time around, I appreciated him better. I just wondered, had you had experience like that?
Well, Pastor Gammons was a wonderful pastor. He was experienced. He knew how to look at people's heart and just really sense what kinds of things were going on in him. He looked at you and he saw that you were coming back to church for some reason. And even though if he had not approached you and initiated the conversation and initiated the move in the church, you probably would not have been at the church now or a deacon at the church. But he saw that, and I believe that God put that in him so that he could sense that kind of spirit in you. And when he offered it to you, you did not deny it because that's what was in your heart anyway. And he somehow was able to perceive that and begin to do the things that's going to make you into the kind of person that he wanted you to be. And that's why you're such a in-demand deacon now at New Pleasant Grove Baptist Church because of what he initiated. And that's the kind of person that he was. And yes, I've had experiences like that. I've seen people, I've even gotten gang members who are now deacons at my church. So that there is just a way that God somehow reveals to the pastor whom he can approach about various things that's needed for his church.
I just wondered, you've been pastor this long, I agree. You've been pastor this long time in the church. Now you're building a new church. Tell us about that.
We're not building a new church. We're adding on to
It's new to me.
the building that we already had. We're adding on to it, and we pride ourselves in being able to do it ourselves because we know that there are people who go out and buy another church that's already constructed. But this church was started in 1962 with the hands of people in Unionville. They actually came out and poured the concrete themselves and laid the blocks and laid the bricks themselves. So there's a lot of pride that has gone into this church, and we did not want to destroy what they had built as a foundation, and we wanted to add on to and make better and enlarge for the upcoming generations to be able to be proud of this place where they worship. And of course, it's going well. We're hoping and praying that the Lord will continue to bless us, that we will have, we've had groundbreaking on last church anniversary, and this church anniversary coming up, we're hoping and praying to be able to cut the ribbon and go into the newly renovated and additional portion of our sanctuary.
When do you think that would take place?
April 26th and 26th. That'll be our church anniversary, and we broke ground in 25, and we want to re-enter the church in 2026.
You know, I've told you this before personally, but Mount Vernon has been a very special church for the civil rights movement. When a lot of things was going on in the community, we used to meet there on a regular basis. You was president of the SCLC and I was executive director. We go a long way back.
Yes, indeed.
And
I try to often remind Mount Vernon of their history. We've had some powerful people to come through the doors of Mount Vernon Baptist Church. Joseph Lowry, one in particular, and all the host of people around him.
Jose Williams.
Jose Williams. We've had all them, Tyrone Brooks, and at one time we even had the Speaker of the House to come to Mount Vernon, and so it has and then of course Andy Young. We had a reception for him when he was running for governor. So we've had many things to happen at Mount Vernon that are historical in and of themselves.
I remember when we was there at Mount Vernon, you and I and Robert Brown, he wasn't a senator then, and we led a march. Get the job, help get jobs. I don't remember the name of it, but we led a march and we went all downtown, and we passed by Huckabee Buick Cadillac, and they had a man standing out there. I had talked to him a few days before, and I told him they need to hire some black folks because we were going to end up picketing some stores. We went by there, and they had a black person out there waving at us. And Leo said, "I got one. You see, I'm a man of my word." And we got the Yeoman Chevrolet, that's what it was then, and they had a black person standing there because I told them the same thing. We got black folks hired because of that march.
Yeah, I remember that march, and and Mount Vernon was really a basis of organizing and doing the kinds of things that needed. I think it's the largest march that has ever been held in Macon. I haven't seen anything before or since that particular march that we held back in, I think that was 1978. So it's been on the horizon and doing wonderful things since then. And of course, we also was the meeting place for
every Saturday morning.
Yeah, every Saturday morning. We also met for the water authority for the this lawsuit and getting equality of those workers that was at the water authority, as well as at the chicken place. All of those people come through Mount Vernon because we were of the mind that we should do something to make the world and make the community better. And we were able to do that. We segregated the water authority as well as the chicken plant when those women were down there and they were being discriminated against and they couldn't go to the restroom and all those kinds of things. We fought all those things and some others that, probably my memory don't recall them all, but we've done many wonderful things.
In the spotlight this week, he's no stranger. He's been here before. No stranger to the city. He's been working over the years in so many capacities to make Macon a better place. And he's taken on a new initiative, even in his retirement.
Hello and thanks for joining us. As the number of homicides this year in Macon soars, one group is trying to solve the problem with a pretty simple message.
That message, just walk away.
We are talking crime and crime prevention in Macon-Bibb County, and Herbert Dennard, with the creator of Just Walk Away, joins us today.
We got to try to do something.
Hello, I'm Bill Adams, retired state court judge of Bibb County and presently the president of Middle Georgia Justice. I can tell you from seeing lots of cases in front of me at the courthouse that many of them could have been prevented by folks just keeping their cool and deciding to walk away. Avoid coming to the courthouse. Do yourself a favor.
I am Justice Vernon your fellow Maconite. I serve on the Georgia Supreme Court. And today, I just want to say, why give in to destruction? Why be a part of the problem? How about being a part of the solution? When you encounter situations that are maddening, walk away so that you can live the full life that you're intended to live. Violence is nonsense, and you are not nonsensical. You are an intelligent person, and people who have an ability to think, feel, and be, they walk away. So walk away and live your best life.
Now, are you putting together that part of Mount Vernon, the health facility?
Yes, we have noticed in our community that there are many people who lack sufficient health care. Just something so simple as knowing what their blood pressure is, or that they are a diabetic, and sometimes they lose life because they don't have simple information. So we'll put together a free clinic, and hopefully, now with the government being shut down, we don't know where that will cause our grant to be, but we're hoping that very soon it'll be open back up, because we're right before being able to pull down some grant funding so that we can put the clinic up and begin to offer that kind of health care in Unionville. And Unionville is a place that a lot of people don't really realize the historical importance of Unionville. Unionville was started by the Union soldiers. And of course, they came in, General John Wilson, they came into Macon, and the Confederate surrendered at Tatner Square Park. And in Tatner Square Park, the soldiers, Tatner Square Park was started in 1851, and the soldiers were there. And of course, the soldiers always had with them all those slaves that they had freed from little small towns and from farms and plantations, and they followed the Union Army. When they got to Macon, they decided that we need to have a homestead for these people. There was a mayor in Macon at one time by the name of, his last name was Washington, and he was a big landowner. And so what they did was they took the land from the Washington estate and plotted out homesteads for all these slaves who had followed the Union Army. They were called the contraband. And so Unionville was not actually the name of it. It was called Washington Heights. And in Washington Heights, it was where all these slaves had started their new homesteads. But slaves understood who was the reason that they were there, and they always called it Unionville. And Unionville, just the name Unionville, is a reminder going forward that they have their freedom, they have that land because of the Union Army came into Macon and defeated the Confederate. And so that's why Unionville ought to be something that we know what it is about, And it ought to be a constant reminder to those of us who are here now, as well as those going forward, to know that this is where slaves established homesteads right after the Civil War.
I mean, you have taught me a lesson, Dr. Ficklin. Let me move on to something else. You taught school at Southwest?
Yes.
How many years?
30. It was 39 years in all, but 11 of them was at Southeast. And of course, Southeast was just a branch off of Southwest. And when Southeast closed, I went back to Southwest.
Okay. You had a real prominent student. One of your students was very prominent. And now you work for him. Tell us about Lester Miller.
He wasn't prominent at the time he was my student. He was just smart. And of course, since that time, he's gone to law school and what have you. He was in my class, he was someone who really loved to debate, and he would go home and look over the material and find some other kinds of things to bring back to the debate. Because I always tried to play devil's advocate with my students in a debate by challenging them, by putting forth premises that I know that they were going to challenge. And so he was very good at doing that and proving his point. And at the time that he was in my class, he wanted to become a culinary artist. And I told him that I don't think you need to do that. You need to go to law school. And eventually he went to Mercer and went to law school and became a very famous lawyer. And the term "thanks Lester" is something that even to this day, many people say "thanks Lester." And I think that after his
from that commercial
in mayor, they're going to look at various things that have happened and say "thanks Lester," because that's the kind of person that he was and is and will continue to be. And yes, I work in his office now, and I'm glad to be here working with once my student, now my supervisor.
How does that dynamic work?
It works very well. It works very well. I think I've enjoyed this job more than any other job I've had, even teaching.
And now you're over at the Wimberly Institute. Tell us about that and what's coming up with it.
Well, the Wimberly Institute was started in 1998. And it was started also at Mount Vernon Baptist Church. Me and Mr. George Mathis, who was a deacon there, we had come together and we wanted to do some things to preserve history. And of course, we had the first Wimberly Institute program at the Southeast High School. And of course, as we moved out from that, we started to recognizing people in our community who were the first Blacks to break a color line, as we call it racial barrier breakers. And we wanted to recognize them, catalog it, and let it become a part of the history of our Middle Georgia area so that people would know who these people were, because they never started out, many of them, to break a barrier. They were just striving to do the best that they could, and we're recognizing them. And on October the 18th, we have 11 more, actually 13 more barrier breakers that we're going to recognize at 6 o'clock at the Anderson Conference Center. And of course, we have gotten a main speaker who is none other than the Honorable Michael Thurman. And of course, he had agreed to do this long before he made any kind of mention of running for the governor. We got him for his historical view. And of course, he is now running for governor. And of course, the Wimberly Institute cannot and will not participate in partisan politics. So he is there. And of course, he's always been a wonderful speaker, and he's going to give a wonderful message on Saturday, the 18th of October. And we encourage everyone to come out, hear this man. It's going to be a dinner. You're going to see 11 other persons who are being honored. And we're also going to honor Senator David Lucas, who for 50 years have represented this community in the Georgia General Assembly. And we think that is a phenomenal kind of accomplishment. And we wanted to make sure that it did not go unrecognized. And so we're going to recognize and honor him at our event.
Good evening, Pastor Stanley at Union Baptist Church over here in East Macon. Listen up, my friends and brothers. When you find yourself getting involved in a conversation that's escalating, you feel like conflict is getting ready to take place, you feel like you've been disrespected by a brother or somebody that you might not even know that you just bumped into for the first time, you feel like things are getting out of hand and somebody's getting ready to hurt. Why not just apply this general rule? Just walk away. I know many times we feel like our ego and our reputation is at stake, but it's better to walk away and live than to confront and not make it to see another day. God bless you. Save a life.
And I understand, I heard it through the grapevine, that you honor one of my church members.
Myrna Bell.
Yes.
We came into the knowledge, and that's what the Women's Institute does, is that we don't know all these things, but when we find them out, we get in contact with the persons and other people who would know it to make sure that it is verified that this is what they have done. And we found out that Miss Myrna Bell, who we've always just known as a quiet teacher, was very active in the civil rights movement from the beginning. We knew that her father, Mr. Walter Davis, had been the president of the NAACP in Miller, Georgia for many, many years, and he was very active. But we did not know that his young daughter was in North Carolina on picket lines and being arrested, and just really one of the foremost persons out front in the civil rights struggle. And we did not want that bit of history to go unnoticed. So we wanted to make sure that we honored her for the kind of role that she has played. She has really, really been insight for all of us, and she has been one who looked down the road at a very early time in her life to make a difference in what is happening, not just in Macon, but what happens in the world. Because when we go back to North Carolina and see the kinds of things that happened in the early days in North Carolina, we know that those things spills over and cause changes in the rest of the United States. And she was a part of that. And we want to say thank you to her.
I want to mention too, Dr. Ficklin, we are in the jail and we visit every Wednesday. You've been several times to the jail with us, encouraging inmates to walk away. What's been your experience and thought process as far as that is concerned?
Well, I think that I was kind of instrumental in helping you get started.
You know,
with changing mindsets and moving forward and doing some of those things, because we know that one of the things that happen with persons when they are incarcerated is that if there is not any help, and when I'm talking about help, physical help, but as well mental help to help guide and focus them towards a better life, that they're going to become a part of the recidivism numbers, which means that they'll come back to jail. And you've probably run into many people while you've been doing the kind of work you're doing who have been there 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times, because there was nothing put in them, nothing put in their life, no motivational kinds of things to make them understand that I cannot live my life in and out of jail. And hopefully what you're doing is going to change some lives. I think that it has changed some lives. It put that thought in place so they can change the way that they think. And it's a mindset changing kind of movement. And I certainly appreciate all of your efforts for doing that every Wednesday. And I think that even the deputies and the sheriff's office appreciate your coming in and saying something to individuals down there so that they would have some way or some idea of how their lives can be if they did not continue to violate and reviolate and reviolate.
You are absolutely correct. We found out something else interesting, that people that get their GED while in prison or in jail, they don't hardly come back. I think it's probably the sense of pride or something, they accomplished something in life or something. And Wanda West is helping us from Central Georgia Tech, and we are helping people get their GED while they're in jail. And I think that can make a difference.
That makes a big difference, because one of the things that the whole school system is for you to complete something. And once you start completing something, it does give you a sense of pride and a sense of accomplishment. And then the other thing about that is that it is the beginning of your being gainfully employed, because you have the necessary paperwork to say that I've completed something. And employers are looking for people who have a GED or a high school diploma. And many times you'll find that people who are incarcerated, one of the things, most of them did not have a job. They were just on the streets. And when you don't have a job, it lends itself to you getting into trouble after trouble after trouble. So we need to make sure that as people are released from jail, that we can give them something of value in their own lives that they can be proud of, and they can go out and get a job.
I appreciate you stopping by, Dr. Ficklin. Our time has run out, but this is the Herbert Dennard Show, a video podcast. You can find it on YouTube, listed under Just Walk Away in Middle Georgia. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me too.
And see you next week.
It's the Herbert Dennard, the Herbert Dennard Show.
Thank you for watching the Herbert Dennard Show. For more information on the Just Walk Away initiative, follow us, like and share our content. Lock in with us. Join the initiative by following us on all social media platforms. Search Just Walk Away, Middle GA. Special thanks to Reverend Dr. Henry C. Ficklin, a courageous leader, a lifelong advocate for education, and a true pillar of our community. Reverend Ficklin has stood for what's right, for our schools, for our families, and for the people who make Macon-Bibb stronger every single day. His compassion, wisdom, and humility remind us that leadership begins with service. And speaking of service, here's your reminder that the James Wimberly Institute's 2025 Barrier Breaker Awards will be held on Saturday, October 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Anderson Conference Center. Join us as we celebrate incredible individuals who break barriers, uplift others, and dedicate their lives to making our community a better place. Because when one of us rises, we all rise together.